Yeah, Gormagut can call you Taoiseach Tommy Kirk Cash we and our Kieran. I think your answers have missed the point. The point is that there's groundswell of opinion in opposition to the erection of a series of huge electricity pylons across the Irish countryside. There have been 35,000 submissions to EirGrid about this. There have been calls for a fair and transparent consultation process. Now, up until yesterday, you and Minister Robert were defending EirGrid's plans, and you did so in a very dismissive and flippant way. In fact, you actually proposed this was part of the solution to deal with immigration. And, given the scattering of hundreds of thousands of our young people, that was particularly crass and insensitive. Sinn Féin's position from the outset has been that EirGrid should only proceed with the proposed project on the basis that they will be undergrounded. And that's the issue, whether they're overground or underground. Now, yesterday's announcement, and we hear this in the media, yesterday's announcement is clearly timed to coincide with the upcoming local and European elections and to push this issue beyond May. But there is confusion, and you didn't answer it when Teachta Calleary put it to you. Is the North-South interconnector to be subject to this review? Your colleague, Sean Conlon TD, says you give him a personal commitment, you give it to Fine Gael TDs, that it would be part of the remit of this panel. EirGrid CEO says he's not aware of it. So, Birch, Question, can you just very clearly say whether the North-South interconnector will be part of the review? And can you tell us, are the potential health implications of overground pylons excluded from the terms of reference of the panel?
Thank you.
And why is there no health expert on the panel?
Thank you.
Well, the answer to your second question is that there has been a great deal of comment about the electromagnetic fields emanating from transmission grid infrastructure. That's why the Minister for Health wrote to the Minister for Energy about an underground cable of the interconnector coming from Britain through the town of Rush up the main street and close to people's houses. In respect of this matter, there has been a great deal of comment. Now, responsibility, as you're well aware, Deputy Adams, for non-ionising radiation lies with the Department of the Environment, Community and Local Government. And in the context of introducing legislation this year for the merger of the Radiological Protection Institute of Ireland with the Environmental Protection Agency, which is on the A list for legislation for this session, the Minister will consider what statutory functions, expertise and resources are required to assign operational responsibility for non-ionising radiation matters to the merged agency. So in the meantime, the expertise that may be required or may be demanded in respect of electromagnetic fields or non-ionising radiation will be provided by the Department of the Environment. And I'm quite sure that the eminent Supreme Court Justice, if expertise is required by her Commission in this matter, will be readily forthcoming. As I said to you, the response yesterday from the Minister was in respect of two proposals by EirGrid to improve the infrastructure of the grid in our country. One is GridLink from Bellacory to Flagford, and the other is the connection from Cork southeast and north. And in that sense, that's part of the programme of work that the Minister referred to yesterday in his television appearance. The larger programme of work already includes north-south, which has been advancing now for 8 years to a point where a planning application is imminent. And as Minister Rabbitte himself has pointed out, he'd be the first to say that the public would be very reassured if they could see that the same comparators are used for analysis of underground options versus overground options, and that all the facts be presented there. He's meeting with the chairperson on Friday with a view to discussing this matter, and I would hope that the extension of remit for the same kind of analysis can be applied to north-south. You have a fixed view only. The Minister pointed out last night that the analysis of the cost of undergrounding the north-south connector was over 800 million, 600 million of a difference between overground and underground. These are issues and facts that need to be debated and discussed so that people can make their minds up. At the end of the day, there's a planning process to be gone through here, a consultation process, and that doesn't mean that what I want to see here is the equality of assessment for all the areas of the country, so that everybody can say, we have the options, we have the facts, let's make up our mind what is the best thing to do in the interest of the challenge that we face.
Thank you.
I've said at all times that this should be a rational and a common sense discussion, and I expect that that's what it will be.
Deputy Adams.
Yeah, Gurma, good to Taoiseach. You see, we all want to see infrastructure improved, and particularly north-south, and the interconnector is very important in that regard. But this is an issue of whether these should be in these huge pylons, or whether, as happens in other states, they should be underground. Now, I would have thought that an issue as important as this, which has been raised by Chockley from all the parties, including myself, should have been brought into this chamber. I would have thought the Minister would have come in here and made his announcement and we could have discussed it out. But time and time and time again, and I'm sure it's the same for your deputies and Labour deputies, we have to chase what's in the media to find out what the government's thinking is on different issues. And then we have to try and decipher the opaque, obscure answers you give to questions which we put. So here's a number of very, very repeated questions. Did you give a personal commitment, as Teachta Conlon claims, that the north-south interconnector will be part of this review? Ta or Neil? Are the potential health implications of overground pylons excluded? And I understand precisely what you said. You don't have to repeat it to me. But are they contained, the health implications, are they contained in the terms of reference of the independent panel? And why is there, given what you yourself acknowledge as concerns, why is there no health expert on the panel? And are you just going to ignore the groundswell of opposition from people who live in communities which would be diversely and adversely affected by this development?
Taoiseach, 1 minute.
I said to you, Deputy, a great deal of concern and comment was made about these two propositions. Minister received 30,000 observations. He did say on several occasions that he would come back before the end of January with a response to those. He brought a formal memo to government yesterday. He got a formal decision from the government, not any secret backroom analysis here, a formal government decision in respect. Well, with respect to you, in a democracy here, the Cabinet meets on Tuesday mornings and makes its decisions in respect of issues that are on the agenda. It's announced afterwards. We can't announce everything in here. Clearly, Deputy Adams, the Minister is perfectly entitled to report, as he said he would, on the issues before him. And that formal government memo concludes a particular section on non-ionising radiation, electromagnetic fields and health issues, which are the responsibility of the Department of the Environment, and as I pointed out, the merger of two agencies will supply that. So the information or expertise that will be necessary to the McGuinness Commission will of course be available to that Commission. Obviously it's going to need assistance both in drawing up of its own terms of reference and how it applies. So what I've said to deputies that I've met, as the Minister has agreed, that the public would be very reassured if they knew that the overhead and the underground options have both been fully investigated, and that the already published studies in the case of north-south are sufficient to enable a similar comparison to be made by An Bord Pleanála when they come to decide on the merits of the planning application. And as I said, Minister Rabbitte is meeting with the chairperson on Friday to discuss the programme of work. And that programme of work by EirGrid includes the two Grid Link and Grid West and the already advanced work done on the North-South Connector.
Thank you.
And I would like to see the Commission have its remit extended to cover that, so that there's equality of assessment and fairness for all the people all over the country, so that whatever the decision at the end of the day is, based on costs and all those other factors, that people will clearly understand the nature of the decision to be made. We need this interconnector. We need this as a critical piece of infrastructure, all three of them, in whatever in whatever way. So that's part of the process. Yesterday, Deputy Adams was about Grid Link and Grid West. The programme of work includes those two and the North-South Interconnector.
Deputy Collins, thank you.